is I just change the sheen. I have the painters change the sheen for the trim versus the wall.
So you always want a little bit shinier on your trim. It's just not going to hold up. It's not going to hold up to your hands that touch it, your vacuums, your kids' little toys that roll into it. It's just not going to hold up. So you need a little bit higher sheen on your trim always. I really wouldn't recommend matte on your trim. On your walls, you can do matte, you can do flat, you can do eggshell. When you start getting into the satin and semi-gloss, it starts showing all your blemishes in your wall. So if you have like a nail pop, that
they happen over time, even if they're not there right now.
Yes. So those show up, and you're like, what is that? It's a nail pop. Yeah. We're going to pretend it's not there and hang a picture, but it's always there.
It's still there.
It's
still
know. There. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of At Home with Emily. It's a podcast about creating a life you love. I'm your host, Emily Wood, and my special guest today is my friend Alison Rosebrough of Seminole Decor Center.
Yes.
I always want to say Seminole Home, but it's Seminole Decor Center. It is certainly where all the pros go. It is Springfield famous and beyond.
There you go. Thank you.
53 years?
We have been there 53 years, yes, in the same location.
Same tiny little spot right there by the Brentwood Library.
Yes, we grew a little bit. So we started out small and we took over some space and then took over some more space. So we're in the same spot, though.
Yeah.
53 years.
Well, and I love that when I call over there, you answer the phone.
I answer the phone. My husband answers the phone.
It's a family-run business.
It is. You'll know who answers the phone.
And you just don't have that anymore. And so we are so lucky to have you guys. And I feel like every pro that I work with as an interior designer and decorator, that's where they go.
Great.
I mean, it's the standard. And so, and especially if you're having issues, whether it be with the stain, paint application, all the things, you know that you'll get help.
We do try to help you.
And so for me, as most of you guys know, my previous life was in journalism and TV news, but my passion on the side was always doing renovations and construction and things like that. I never knew that was going to be a second life for me. Never in a million years. I had no plans on it, did not set out to do it. And so I've just had to learn as I go. And I feel like the paint pros at Seminole are just so great about helping all of us through the learning process. And so I think for us as on the decor side, as decorators, like we have our colors. We know we can trust. We have certain paints we trust. But then based on which paint pro we're working with at the time, they have certain types of paints that I hate this paint, I like this paint. And it turns
hard.
into a maze. And so then the art turns into a science with how you guys mix the paints and come up with all the formulations and all the colors. And so you really have to have those two minds working together, which would therefore be Alison and Dan, right?
I don't know if Alison and Dan do everything, but it is, Benjamin Moore is a great product, and we do have good communication with them. So it's just kind of a good collaboration.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking, we started chasing rabbits right away, and there were a million different ways that we could go with this show. But what we want to help you guys with and hope that you can take away from this is where to start with paint. Because how many times have you heard someone say, just slap some paint on it?
That's not a good idea.
It's never a good idea.
Don't do that. Yeah.
And, I myself, I'm not a skilled painter. I can roll. Back when Ryan and I were dating and we were engaged, we started doing our first projects. And we did a bungalow in Oklahoma City. And I would say it was the cutest little house, but it really wasn't that cute. It was ugly. And we were trying to make it pretty. And that was back when, everyone was still doing wood kitchens. And I wanted to do a white shaker kitchen. People thought I was nuts to go with white cabinets. And look around you now that we fast forward.
Everybody's there. Yeah.
That's it. That's all. Now we're trying to get people away from white cabinets. But I went a little crazy with the paint palette, at, 24 years old or whatever I was.
It kind of looked like a circus if
I
you
was
go
like,
too crazy.
oh, let's do this, let's do that. Let's do two colors in the primary bedroom, and let's do this other color in the postage stamp bathroom. And Yeah.
It got kind of crazy. It's always good.
Yeah.
It's fun, though. It's fun to explore paint. It's an inexpensive way to change your room. It's great. I would go for it. You can always repaint it. Did you repaint it before you sold?
Well, we ended up repainting it before we ultimately listed it. We rented it out like that, and it was pretty. It was just a little too much. There was too much for the size space that it was, and the height ceilings, and you know, all those things. But we were excited about it. The kitchen turned out beautiful, and at that time, we were all DIY. You know,
That's
and
great. We love DIYers.
Like, hey, you got to start somewhere. And I look back, and Ryan, he kind of apprenticed under a painter because he's like, this girl is painting stuff all the time, changing things. Somebody's going to have to learn how to be a professional painter around here. And so he learned how to edge and do all the things and the type of brushes.
That's great.
So I'm lucky I have him. But now that it's turned into a business, of course,
He's not going to do that
never
for
helps
you.
me.
Yeah.
No, that's gone. That's over. So I thought if you came in, one thing we could talk about is how do you pick a color? Sounds easy.
Sounds easy.
Until you walk into the paint store.
Yeah.
And like, where do you start? And so you and I were talking about you can never go wrong with a white. If you
basic,
get the right one.
Yes, just a basic plain color. It doesn't have to be white. It can be cream. It can be tan. It can be taupe. It can be just a basic color. So white's a good start. But if white's not your thing, you can also do tan.
Yeah.
Or cream. Or any color, but you need one standard color.
So we brought a fan of whites, didn't we? Oh, I have them over here.
We do.
So we have...
Whites are kind of hard to pick.
Oh, white.
Yes.
In your mind, you're thinking of a piece of copy paper. Well, that's white. But these are all in the white family.
They
right?
are. And if you do pure white, sometimes if you do pure white, it'll turn blue.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and that's not a good look.
I've done that because we love the extra white and the super white, and we've used that in our own home. But you're right. Then when the light hits it at a certain time of day, from the certain direction from the sun,
it turns
it's like,
blue.
Why is this blue? And I will say, too, primer cannot be undervalued if you're going to go with a light base color like this.
And at Seminole Decor, we will tint your primer. So if you went with a white, we can even put extra white in it.
And so that way, hopefully lessens the coats of primer.
Yes, the
that you
coats
need
of
to
paint.
do.
Primer's just one coat.
Gosh, I do 2 coats of primer.
Okay, that's okay. I'll let you, but we do 1 coat of primer and then 2 coats of paint.
So you feel like 1 coat of primer really should do it when you're changing colors. Okay.
You're okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'm overdoing it.
It's fine.
But yeah, that's what we do. We do 2. We recently did the boys' rooms. We went from a tan, and this was a DIY because it's my kids' rooms and they can help.
Yeah.
We went from a tan over to a white, and it was just, extra white, and it just looks so fresh and clean.
Good.
So
Those are great. Those are great colors, and I'm sure they love it. Did they put up all their posters?
not yet.
They will.
We're working on that. We're negotiating.
So you can get a better grade of paint. So when they do put up their little posters and their little doodads and all their little fun things that they love that make them special, it'll come down and it'll touch up easy.
Yeah.
So we have paint for that.
And paint's cleanable now, by the way.
Yes. And so if they do bounce a ball on it, I don't know, what do your kids do in their bedrooms? If they
all those things. Well,
Okay.
it's not in their bedrooms, it's the whole house.
So
My entire house is a basketball gym.
Okay, so, but we could, if they bounce their ball on the wall, we could get you something so it can scrub off.
Yeah.
And it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids. Now I have 2 grandkids. But when they all lived at home, we had to wash our
Oh, yeah.
walls all the time.
And it's all washable now.
It is. It's
So-
lucky. It was washable back then.
And magic erasers usually work for
We love
white
those
as well. You
Yeah,
can
we
use
should
those,
we should
especially on
hand
the
those out
trim.
while we sell a gallon of paint. But we don't.
Here you
But
go.
we should.
So let's talk about warm and cool. And not everybody's eye is going to catch that or see it when it's in a small piece, but when it goes up on a wall, certain times of day, they probably will. So you and I both went crazy building our pallets, and we both brought giant SUVs full of supplies that will never make it onto the show, but we had fun doing it.
Yeah.
So I pulled out, there's a couple cool whites that I like. When you're talking Ben Moore, what I usually use is the decorator's white. It's real
And I
popular.
have a palette of one of those.
You have a big one?
I do. I don't know
pull
where
it
it
out.
is.
Okay.
Could be.
It's one of these.
I have no idea.
That's all right. So we have decorator's white, and I just pulled like one of my favorite colors is the Kindle charcoal.
That's a great color.
And it really does read gray, dark, deep. However, it can take on a cool undertone sometimes. It can look toward black.
It also matters on what room you put it in. So if you have lots of lighting, like we have lots of lighting going on in here, it's going to look grayer. But if you put that in a bathroom that doesn't have very good lighting, it's going to go pretty dark.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
in a small space.
So it depends on what you put it in. If you put it on a front door, it's going to look super gray.
So this is an example of cools. If you follow all the design blogs and all of the influencers, they're going to tell you that cools are going out and warms are coming in. I don't disagree. However, I happen to like cools, and my house is cool.
Then I would stay with that.
How do you feel about that? Don't you feel that people should start with something they like?
So if it is your home, you should do with what you like. This is your place.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, you invite people in, and this is all about you. One of my girls has a hot pink ceiling in their house, in my house, but they don't at their house now. But she loves it, and she won't let me repaint it. She was like, oh my gosh, don't repaint that hot pink ceiling. I have wallpaper on my ceiling, so I have wallpaper in my closet, my master closet. No one goes in there but me.
I have it in my
Dan.
primary closet ceiling.
I don't have it on the ceiling, but I have it on the walls.
Yeah.
Dan goes in there. I go in there. That's all that goes in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come over, you're definitely not going to want to go to my closet. But I see it every day. No one wants to go to my closet.
Well, I think like if you start, so one of the reasons I started with cools is because I love Carrere marble. And I didn't grab a piece of it, but that's going to have those cool tones.
It does.
Well, it's forever classic. And decorator's white is the color of our kitchen cabinets.
It goes with everything.
It goes with everything. And you
So
can
decorator's
still bring
white
in,
just has extra white in it.
Okay.
That's all it has in it.
So it's super white.
So it's not super white. There's another color called super
That's
white.
true.
I know. It does have a little bit of
There's
black.
a different
but
one, extra white.
I know.
But yeah, so I just threw these colors together. And if you go into a paint store, such as Seminole, you guys can help people. And we'll get into this next episode, but here's a cool based wallpaper. Here's a grass cloth that's actually a vinyl. And all of a sudden, these all start working together with
And
your
you can put in
countertops, with your
fabrics.
woods, with your metals, with your fabrics, and you can start building. And I think, too, when we're talking about paint, it's an easy thing. It's a relatively easy thing to change.
Yes.
It can be done.
So if you don't have a 2-story staircase type situation, it's just a room that's 9 feet, 10 feet high, 8 feet high, whatever. You could do that, and I don't know how long it took you, but probably a weekend. So,
Yeah, couple days.
Yes. So pull everything out, paint it. If you're doing a nursery, it's probably all clean. You can paint it up. So those are pretty easy spaces. A living room, you can put everything to the middle, paint around it. Still not hard. If you're doing cabinets, you need to come in and talk to us. You can even bring in a cabinet and we'll guide you through and say, okay, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to sand this, take this, if you want to DIY it. If you want to hire a professional, call us and we'll help you
It
get
can be
one.
done. Cabinets can be touched up with the right roller.
Yes.
By the way, making sure you have the right tools is so important. However, when I talk about painting cabinets, spray is what I really like in terms of a finish, and using a sprayer can be learned. I wouldn't do it at your main home.
That would probably be a little more professional grade. So if you want to use a sprayer,
Pros
that's
are
fine.
going to do it
But
in a
we
way
do
where
have
it looks brand new.
self-leveling paint. So if you want to DIY it, I would recommend getting self-leveling.
Okay. I haven't
we
heard
have that. Yeah.
Self-leveling.
I have one. So
Somewhere in
I
the
have
stuff that
yes,
we
I
brought.
have it somewhere in the hallway. But there's it says it on the can, and if you come in, Dan and I are almost always there. And if not, we have qualified people. Our team is amazing. And they will help you pick the best product. And it also matters on what's on your paint. Do you have latex paint? Do you have oil paint? Is it new wood? There's a lot of questions.
Like what was on there previously. I know. And a lot of times people don't know.
Yeah, we will ask those questions.
But you have a paint for that, too.
We have a paint for all of it.
I know that
We got a paint, but we're going to ask you all these questions, so be prepared.
Okay, so let's pull out a warm palette because we're talking about cool. And so when you think cool, think blue, think gray, think like that.
Right.
However, you can also pull those colors into a warm palette. So another popular color, Simply White.
And that has just a tiny hint of yellow in it. And I have a big swatch of that too. I'm not sure where it is down there, but it's down there.
Okay.
And then it has, and I don't mean, that's it. So it does not have, it does not have yellow that makes it look yellow, but it just makes it look not pure white. Put pure white next to it. Do you have one that's white? Just use that paper.
Yeah, here I have a piece of copy paper.
There you go. And this reads white when it's all the way out.
So let's flip over. Okay, so here is the big Simply White. Here's the little Simply White. And then I pulled in another popular color is the Revere Pewter.
And we have our store painted Revere Pewter.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
And so here is used to be called Hunter Green. They're a little bit different now.
I know, they all call
Remember in the 90s, like that was the thing? Well, it's coming back, but it's always comes back a little bit different. This is called Vintage Vogue, if you like that. And then this is a color that I love. I've used it on cabinetry. It's Normandy.
Oh, that's a great color. And I have a big board of that one too.
Oh, you do? You brought it with you?
These are all somewhere in the studio.
Why do we're picking the same colors? That's so funny.
I don't know where all the boards came, but yes, these are great colors. And if you come in, I have these boards. They look just like this in the design department. So if you come in, you can ask to look at these and we'll get you taken care of.
You can play around too. And so now, while there are thousands and thousands of wallpapers, most of them are in your studio. As designers, what we can do is show you 2 or 3
they can narrow it down
that we think are going to, in our professional opinion, work for your particular space.
But if you want to look at all of them, come in.
There they are.
Sit down. Yeah. Bring a coffee.
So here's an example of a girly one. And here we have one that comes from Europe that I would consider going with a warm aesthetic as well.
So all of this would be beautiful.
Throw in a fabric, throw in a window treatment, throw in some upholstery. Look at us.
All of this is
amazing. We just designed an imaginary room.
There you go. We put it together. Somebody needs to get this.
Okay. Now, the other thing that we wanted to hit on that you and I were talking about, Allison, and again, you and I have been doing this for a very long time, starting with your main paint color.
Right.
With a neutral that you are going to want to live with.
And you want to like it because it's going to be in every corner.
Take a lot.
Even your little electrical room and all those kind of things. It's going to be in there.
That's going to be, unless you design something else, that's what it is. This is your main base color. Yeah. So another place that you and I talked about that sometimes is an inspiration source for you could be an item that you love. So the first thing I thought about was I bought a piece of art in Mississippi from an artist I have followed for years, like since my first job in Jackson, Mississippi.
Artwork.
And as soon as we got it home, I was so excited. We hung it up, and suddenly I hated the whole house. It was right in the entryway. It's a big 5 foot by 5 by 5. And I'm like, I got to redo this whole house.
Maybe just the entryway, but that's fine.
Well, it extended because after you do the entryway,
like
and
glitter.
Then that is when our house turned from the tan that everyone has had since 2005 or 10 or whatever,
right,
to white. And I did a lot of architectural treatments and stuff. So I started there. But maybe you don't have a painting that you love because you can always start with the art. But what about something else? And so you brought a great example of something you did recently.
If you want to paint your cabinets, this particular person wanted their cabinets blue, but they couldn't really visualize it. This is the cabinet they went with right here. So they couldn't decide what they wanted. So we painted, and we have these boards. They're called Mighty boards right here at the store, and you can just get a sample of your paint and you can paint it. It's very easy. They're called Mighty boards. And then this is just a little sketch that I did. So it could concept, they could see it. If you wanted your island painted, they don't have an island because it's a super small little kitchen. But if you wanted your island, you could do it that way. This is just a concept sketch.
I love that. And then from this point is how you start working and pulling in your other colors.
Yes. And then you can do all the things. If you want to pick a tile, if you want to pick a different tile, that type of thing. But they just couldn't get the idea of putting a blue cabinet in. And this is what they did.
And so we started there. And then another place that you may not start on your own because you may not be doing custom upholstery, but your designer starts. And so if you already have a piece you love, like already in your home, is Aussie fabric, and that strikes inspiration. So this is just a piece that was left over from a custom piece of upholstery that we did.
And this is beautiful.
So many ways you can go.
And peek from this. If you have this and you love it and you want it, bring it into our store. We have a whole display, and you can pick all the paint colors that you want to go with it.
That is exactly what I did literally this morning. I grabbed a color that used to be used more, but it's still pretty, which is the elephant tusk. And then I just threw in right here. All of a sudden, you have a palette, and that doesn't mean you're going to get that paint in every color, but you might get some accessory pieces, accent furniture.
Yeah, you could paint a lamp this color if you wanted to. You could paint, if you wanted to color drench, we didn't even talk about that. You could color drench a bathroom in this. I mean, there's a lot of fun things you could do.
So color drench is when we paint everything the same.
The ceiling, the trim, the walls. Super fun.
And the doors.
And the doors.
But you don't have to do the ceiling, but the trim, and you can pick a different sheen. That's something else. There's so many ways we could go with this.
We could talk sheen, too.
If you want it to do white everywhere, let's hit back on that real quick, and I'll just give you a tip that I use, is I just change the sheen. I have the painters change the sheen for the trim versus the wall.
So you always want a little bit shinier on your trim. It's just not going to hold up. It's not going to hold up to your hands that touch it, your vacuums, your kids' little toys that roll into it. It's just not going to hold up. So you need a little bit higher sheen on your trim, always. I really wouldn't recommend matte on your trim. On your walls, you can do matte, you can do flat, you can do eggshell. When you start getting into the satin and semi-gloss, it starts showing all your blemishes in your wall. So if you have like a nail pop, that
they happen over time, even if they're not there right now.
Yes. So those show up, and you're like, what is that? It's a nail pop. Yeah. We're going to pretend it's not there and hang a picture, but it's always there.
It's still there.
It's still there. Yeah.
So do we want to show one more?
You can show as many as you want.
Let's show one more inspiration. I love your sketches. So let's look at this one here.
Okay, so this is a leather, and we're just going to put it over there because it's not important. So this is a sketch, and this is the paint color. So this is the paint color right here. It's Edgecombe Gray. Just a beautiful neutral.
It's funny because you look at it, it looks like a taupe.
It does. It has a lot of tan in it. And then this is just a simple sketch. You can see there's not a lot of detail in it, but this is the wall color. So that just gives you an idea of what you can do. You can get a fun little light fixture and that type of thing, but it starts with this paint color, which is amazing. And then we pulled it back in here also in this other room.
So the main way that we've been coaching you guys is by starting with your main color, because it could be 2/3 of what you do in your home. And then you can pull in your secondary color, like we showed you in a palette, that maybe you use for some woodwork. Maybe you use it for your part of your cabinetry. You find somewhere. And then you have your accent colors that you can pull in that are going to be...
Those are just the dining room chairs.
10 to 15% of what you do in the home. So I feel that we've given some good education. How do you feel, Allison?
Well, if you need any more help or you have any questions, just come into Seminole Decor and we should be able to help you. Hopefully we can help you. And then, it's 1815 East Seminole.
Well, we are lucky to have you guys in town.
Thank you.
And appreciate you so much. And appreciate all of you guys for watching. And just a few more pieces of advice would be, yes, there is a sense of overwhelm in getting started. But
start with a sample. Come in and get a sample.
Small.
Get a sample and paint it on your wall and see if you like it. It's not a big commitment. You'll be fine.
And I would say, too, if this just is not your lane to play around with, some people love this. If it's not your lane,
get a designer.
There's someone that it is their lane. They're called designers.
There are lots of designers, and pick one.
We've got good ones here in town.
Our town is really blessed with designers, and there's a lot of good ones. So find one you like. Make sure you get Benjamin Moore, and make sure you come in, and we'll help you get the best colors. But if you want to do it, you can. And then if you decide, I really can't, this isn't my wheelhouse, then get in a designer.
It's usually better to decide that at the beginning, but
I have
doesn't always work out that way.
Doesn't. It happens more the other way more times than you think.
Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And thank you guys so much for listening or watching, if you're on YouTube, to this episode of At Home with Emily. If you are on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe so you're notified when our next episode drops. We drop a new one every Wednesday. You can also follow Around the Ozarks on social media and head to AroundTheOzarks.com and be sure to sign up for our daily newsletter while you're there. We'll see you next time.